What's going on? We're our Saturday.
It is. We're good.
Yeah, we're good. Just mute it.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's me and Chris again. Hope all is well. Hope everyone's doing good on this Saturday. First freezing cold day of the winter. It's not even winter yet. We're still fall.
Slippery everywhere, actually.
Slippery slope.
Hopefully no one got hurt because it's bad.
Hopefully people know how to drive still.
That too.
Sorry,
we're not out to put any salt anywhere.
Nope.
They did nothing today.
No.
And you pay their taxes.
That's crazy. So, today, first off, we're going to talk about the upcoming Dragon Flow Yoga that Frankie Spera is going to be doing, or giving, at Caballas, obviously, over here at the center. And he will be giving it starting next Thursday, 6:30 p.m., every Thursday. So you don't want to miss his yoga sessions, because I know they get filled up pretty quick. So contact him, contact me to reserve your spot. We're only about 12 people a class, so if we need more demand, then we will open up more spots. But our first sessions we're doing is this upcoming Thursday and every other Thursday after that.
Nice.
Yeah, and we are going to be starting Pilates too, so we're going to just remind everybody next week. But we are starting Pilates 7 p.m. every Monday as of December 6th. So you're going to get more details on that. It's going to be Arminio that's going to be taking care of that. And that's it. The team is actually growing. We got some more people signing up on as staff, so that's always fun. That means we're growing. That means more people are going to be on board. And me and Chris keep getting new ideas every freaking single day of what to do and how to make this place run. So be sure to stay tuned for upcoming ideas, mainly for the summer as well. We will be talking about that more often, for sure. But
right
today,
now we're in the cocoon phase.
Yeah, actually, well, everything is up in the air. We're still kind of living in the unknowns. We are always going to live in a cocoon phase until stuff really gets exposed, I guess, best way to say it. But today, what we actually want to talk about is trusting yourselves, trusting the universe per se is the best way to say this. Chris, I'll let you start it up.
So, when it comes to the universe, you have to ask yourself, to what level has it all come down to, right? I love those videos where they really make you think about how we're literally a second in all of the universe. We're a specter of a little smudge. And it makes you wonder, how could this all be working in such a motion? And that's the idea, because when Albert Einstein talked about string theory, he did bring upon how there is a force moving forward. He called it time, he called it many things. And so a lot of people, even scientists who believe in God, that's how they believe that there's a driving force behind it. So scientifically speaking, there is a universe, there is something driving us. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Good point that he was just talking about, like Albert Einstein, talking about like time and space and all that. There actually is, I actually posted this today for those that didn't see, but there is something that we should take note of, is that there's no, is not empty. Space isn't empty. So the universe occupies space no matter what. So there could be a space between me and Chris, but there's always going to be something between us. So when we're thinking of thoughts, when we're thinking that we're alone in our thoughts, or that we're alone in space, or we're alone in time, or we're alone in whatever, we're never all actually alone, because we're actually part of the universe. So when we're able to understand that we are connected to the universe, and the universe is there to help us as much as possible, or the fact that we are a part of the universe, that we could literally connect to each other and to everybody else, then we could always remind ourselves that we're never going to be alone, and we never are alone. So that's something to think of as well.
So let's put it into perspectives. people love to say, watch what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very important because, see, the universe works in the same way that a river. If you throw a penny in there, where does it land later? And as crazy as it is, might end up back in your pockets, right? You might have thrown it in there, then later on someone picked it up, used it at a store, and then boof, it's back in your pocket. And it's like, what? And that's very interesting, right? But that's how the universe works. We want to talk about law of attraction, we want to talk about all those beautiful things. To make it very simple, watch what you wish for. This is why it's important to always have a positive mentality. Because the moment you have a little bit of negativity, it is crazy to say, but you are attracting it.
Mm-hmm. Wherever your energies flow, you will attract the same energy. So, like exactly this, the river is the best example. Wherever the river flows, it's always going to flow where you direct it to flow. So, like he's saying, if it's negative, then you're always going to be thinking negative. You're always going to be attracting negative. Now, I understand that, you know, we all go through life phases. You know, for me personally, this week has been a rough week. We always think that we're in the negative, or we're always thinking that whatever something happens to us is a negative. Not true, exactly. What we mean by negative is our thought process is negative. We're always being negative. Something happened to us isn't necessarily always negative. It's the universe's way telling you that things need to change. Whether it's for the good or the bad, but you got to be ready to level up for the change. And it means that this challenge, whatever it is a challenge for you to level up and become the change that you're supposed to be, become the person that you're supposed to be.
The way I like to say it is, there's this infinity sign, right? So it goes one way and then goes into another way. Think of it this way. An action will have a reaction. Question will always be, are you okay with the consequence of that action? And that's when you start to really realize, what kind of life do you want to live? Because if you've been doing a certain thing for a while and the result is the same, it's up to you to decide, you know what? I want a different result. If you start to think that doing the same thing will get a different result, well, that's actually the definition of insanity. So watch out for that.
Yeah. So basically, the universe is looking out for you. It's never there against you. So if you believe that everything happens for a reason and that everything can be a positive mindset or a positive aspect, that's the cause and effect consequence where you're letting out your actions, you're letting out your thoughts, but that consequence in the end is something that the universe is giving back to you, whether it's to clean out your environment, clean out your people that surround you, for you to have a change for the better and to progress and to get to the level where you want to be, or to get to your main goal. So I always take the example of us being at the center because it's the easiest thing. So for example, I want my team to have more clients, you know, but if my team is always negative, then I have to find a way to make them think positive, that they're going to get the clients they're going to have. So we can't always fall back into a mindset where, oh shit, I only have one client this week. Oh shit, I only have 3 clients. That's fine. The universe is telling you, well, level up because next week is going to be better, or tomorrow is going to be better. And that's true. And I always give this example that every time a cancellation happens for me, as much as I dislike it, and it's not the best way to think of it, but I have to think of it as, okay, well, here's a way that I have to respect myself. Clients have to also respect the time that they missed. There is a certain consequence and penalty that they have to abide by. And then I have to think of it, okay, well, here's the positive. I could do something productive for myself. I can do something where it's going to level my game. And basically the universe is trying to tell me that you needed a break for this moment. Now, doesn't mean that you're going to lose that client, or again, I'm always thinking back to the examples that were here, but you're not going to lose that client. But if you do lose that client, you're always going to gain 2 more. And I always love that example because for the past 5-6 years being in this business and having my own center, every time a cancellation happens, I always get 2 new bookings. Whether it's with myself or I get other people calling for therapies or the other trainers, that always happens. So the more that you could think that, okay, well, this didn't happen, let me just continue doing what I have to do and keep showing up, then chances are I'm going to get more clients in the end. So whatever you give, you're going to get back no matter what. So if you keep giving your time, you're going to get more in return. If you keep giving your time to your clients, people see that, people will resonate with that, the universe will resonate with that, the universe will give back to you, and you'll end up getting more clients in the end. So it's just a shift of mentality where you attract what you think and you become what you think as well. So just keep showing up every day, just keep doing what you got to do, keep doing what you love. And that's the key thing, is doing what you love. It's a passion. You will eventually end up getting or attaining the goals that you need.
Make sure we're
on time. Yeah, perfect.
And you know what? To add on to that, I really like always bringing up the 4 levels of us. This is what I feel based on, spirituality should be something you're researching within yourself. And for me, what I've come to realize is that there's your thoughts, there's your emotions, there's your body, and then there's your spirit. So in my eyes, spirit really works based on frequency. Your thoughts work on frequency. Guess what? All of them work on your frequency. Yeah. So we really like watching this one guy called Infinite Waters, and he says, raise your frequency.
Raise the vibration.
Raise the vibration. And he's right, because think of it this way. If a tree falls in the forest, but no one's there to hear it, did it make any noise? That's a really good riddle.
Yeah.
It's the same way in the way that if someone's listening to music, but it's not loud enough, well, who's hearing it? If your frequency is so low, which is in the negatives, because that's how numbers work, then what are you doing? If it's really high, if it's big, yeah, sure. Sometimes it's hard to be the center of attention, but at least you're giving it out there. And watching what you wish for is truly important, because if you send out on a high level negative energy, you're going to get that back. Mm-hmm. But if you send out positivity, you'll get that back. And so, like last week, we talked about following your purpose. And it's only really possible if you're clear, if you're clear-minded.
Yeah.
Clear-mindedness.
There's a lot of clutter these days.
Exactly. Thoughts. I really, really, really like how psychologists, doctors, naturopaths, everybody agrees on one thing. Shut off from the media. They all say it. They all recommend it. They recommend that at least, even just take a day, see how you feel. And it's interesting what happens.
The biggest negative clutter you could have.
100%. And the fact that all these specialists are recommending it, why aren't we doing it? And what's really sad is when we talk about addictions into these negativities. Right now, there's this massive thing going on with young girls and media addiction. And they're mentioning how the suicide rate is rising because they know it's not good for them, but they need to be a part of it. And then there's this crazy consequence that comes out of it in the way that if you do take yourself out, but then everyone else is a part of it, you lost out on what they're going on about. It's insane how this is going on, but there needs to be something about it. And when we talk about the universe, this is what the universe is telling us. We're a society that's a little ill right now because we're truly addicted to social media, which is interesting because we're making a podcast. But think of it this way.
It's just to spread awareness.
Exactly. But, what's really wonderful is that you get to pick what you actually want.
You get to pick up how you wake up in the morning also. You get to pick if you're going to wake up angry in the morning, in the morning, or are you happy in the morning. And this is where, Infinite Waters says raise your vibrations, raise your frequencies. It's your choice, really, to wake up happy. It's your choice to wake up feeling like you're going to take on the day with a proper mindset, with less anger, less negativity. So it's everything that you do, every choice that you make will resonate and will have a positive or negative consequence. So that's always up to you. Go ahead.
Something we were just talking about right before we started was the fact that human beings are social beings. The thing is, we would socialize to survive, so that you would be part of something. You would feel belonging. But today we live in a world where you can actually be independent, but you get to choose what you would like to be all about, which is very interesting because in the past, if you were raised Catholic, you were stuck Catholic. If you were raised another religion, be it Jewish, Muslim, you were stuck doing that. Because survival. You had to survive. Some people, if we look back to our ancestors, they only got to marry someone within their own religion. The idea of two different people from that's only been like 20 years old. Maybe even less, and I'm 30. So imagine that for a minute. Today, you can be whoever you want to be. There are united churches which actually accept LGBT people, which is wonderful. There's the fact that we're even talking that LGBT is part of our society. Today we're living in a world where you get to choose your sexuality, what you enjoy when it comes to entertainment, even though everybody likes MCU. There's so much out there. And there's a moment when you get to say, whoa, what do I want to do, right? And you should never feel discouraged because the universe wants you to figure out who are you. What are you here for? What are you here to contribute? See, I never really felt connected to any religion. That's why for me, spirituality should be, well, again, I don't like the word should, but spirituality should, I said it again. Spirituality is one's journey. It's your own journey. And what I really like is how yoga and meditation, it's something that's mainstream now. And you know what's crazy? When you do some little bit of research, it was always mainstream. You know, Hinduism was its own thing. But when it's spread out, you get to find out that Buddha went one way. You get to find out other things changed over here. But it's all about you and figuring your own stuff out.
So it's really, we want to come back to trusting the universe that, again, they're there. It's there for you more than you think, and it's never against you. You know, we talk about spirituality, and we were talking about this before as well, is that maybe you just change the word spirit to visualization. Whatever you want to visualize, you see yourself doing, the universe will give to you, provided that that's truly what you really want. That's really what your soul wants. Now,
with no doubt.
With no doubt as well, exactly. It doesn't have to happen from one day to the next or from 1 month to the next. The thing with the universe, again, we spoke about this last week, that time doesn't really exist. So it could take you, in our day and age, it could take you 3 years before you become a millionaire. It could take you 2 months before you meet the person of your life. It could take you a split second before you fall down and hurt yourself. So there's different ways that we could see how time should not actually be the main source to wanting something. It's really how passionate you are by attaining your goals, whether it's being a millionaire, being as fit as possible, as healthy as possible, getting 10 clients a day, whatever that goal is, getting the love of your life. And you see yourself with that specific someone, right? Some people actually visualize themselves marrying the visualization. Which again, that could be 10 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever it is. Again, just to say that time shouldn't exist. Time shouldn't be a constraint.
It shouldn't be a factor.
It shouldn't be a factor. There you go.
In your decision making.
100%. So
be free.
Well, yes, and I'll say something where, you know, in relationships, you could have a couple where they need to find each other. They need to find they are, who their own soul is. You know, they've been together for let's just say 3-4 years, whatever it is, but then they lost sight of who they actually were. It doesn't mean that their life journey is over. It just means that maybe at some point, if something really is worth something, they have to take a step back and realize, you know what, I got to refine myself. I got to figure out who I am again. I got to figure out what I want to be, who I want to be, if I'm actually the person I'm supposed to be with my loved one, whatever it is. Eventually, if it's actually meant to be, the universe will bring you back together. If you guys grown at the same space, at the same time, again, I don't want to use time, but if you guys grew at the same pace, then eventually that connection will come back together. If one is elevating their own vibrations, their own energy, their own frequency, their own whatever, the other person doesn't want to do the work, then you'll never have that consistent balance where you guys are meant to be together. And it's not this, it's not just in relationships. It's the same thing with everything you do around you. It's the same thing in your work environment. It's the same thing in who you are as a person, your hockey team, your soccer team, whatever it is. If you guys can't gel together and bring the vibrations high enough that you're on the same page, then you'll never succeed in where you actually want to be. I want to be the leader of my team and show the great example that I have to do. Well, I'm going to elevate my game so that my team can feel that and bring their energies to another level so that they could feel the same, I'll just say the same way that I feel in terms of energy, so that they could be passionate about what they do and get the same clients that they want to get. If I'm elevating my energies and the other person is elevating their energies, but someone in the team just feels sluggish, nonchalant, and doesn't really feel like being there, then that weak link will just drag down the team. Now, there's options, obviously, where you could help that person, but if they don't want to be helped, then there's a change that has to be made. And if that change means that cutting ties, then it has to be that you cut the ties and you rebuild from the inside again. But nothing says that things can't change for the better. You gotta elevate as we move along as a unit. You know, we always come back to being a unit. So it's always about unity, bringing each other back to on the same page. And now, don't get me wrong, everybody has their own flaws, their own maybe their own agendas, their own skills and qualities, but that's what makes a team work efficiently. That's what makes a team better, because who's good at one thing won't be good at the other thing, and they'll just complement each other. And that's the same thing in relationships, and that's the same thing as a team.
Well, think of it this way. The universe itself, you know, for the Earth to be where it is right now and to grow us, a species like us, think about it. It has to be the third planet to the sun. It needs a planet like Jupiter and a planet like Neptune to block massive asteroids from coming in. We need a belt. We need all these factors for the Earth to be where it is. And that in itself is the universe. When we think about consciousness, we're only really aware a bit of like maybe 10%, I think, last I heard. Mm-hmm. Everything else is going on subconsciously. Me breathing is happening automatically. Me being able to look automatically. If I want to focus in on something, that's part of that 10%. But imagine how much we don't control. And you know, all these movies like Salt or whatever that other movie is called, they try to talk about it on a very, you know, non-fiction level where, you know, Scarlett Johansson is, you know, the super controlling person, this god. But, you know, let's be fully honest here. We'll be stopping sooner than we thought. But really, to get to the point is the universe itself works on a transcendent time flow. And just like a river, it's going to flow. You could be part of the flow or you could be out of the flow.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You could be the cloud that just watches, like someone says you're in the clouds. It's very possible. You know, when you're in the clouds, you're not really part of the river. Alan Watts says that everything is a game. And I don't disagree with him. I kind of really agree with him because Alan Watts, to me, he was onto something. He was more advanced than his time. And the fact that we're in a world right now where, you know, I found out he died in the 1970s. It's insane because his concepts resonate so much today more than anything else. I'm so grateful people are still showing his stuff. But he said that life is a game. You can play it or you don't have to play it. Because let's think about it. 2,000 years ago, or even 100 years ago, or 300 years ago, let's say in the 1970s, we had farm and we had cattle. Life was simple. Now we're living in a time... Sorry?
1970s or the 1700s?
1700s, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. 1700s. And if you really think about how simple life was back then, it really was. So what made it change? It's this game. It's this game of bank. This game of what could you give?
It's all about greed.
Lust. You know, I really hate it when lust is confused with love, because the universe is built on love. And Albert Einstein actually said that the most powerful thing in this world is love. And he said it in the way that that's what connects everything together.
And that's what we always say, that resonating into the 5D, if we all live in the 5D, again, we're going back to energies now, but when we live in the 5D, there's no conflict ever. There shouldn't be ever conflicts.
Because you're loving the consequence. Yeah. You're loving the chance of what happens.
And
next.
you're understanding that things are happening for a reason, out of good love, out of goodwill, and things will just keep getting better.
Yeah.
And there's no... I know we're going to go a little over, but it brings us to a good point where when you're living in that kind of mindset, you're not afraid of what's to happen. You're not afraid of the unknown. You're just living off love, and you're just living unconditional love where nothing else really matters. And the fact that we just keep worrying about when something happens to us, like, again, if things were happening to me this weekend, I would have just kept worrying about it and letting things always blow up in my face. That's up to me to control my own emotions and not be afraid or worry about what's to come. Of course, there's a whole bunch of other factors that come into play and that keep playing with your head and your mind, but you have the control to negate all those negative thoughts, to just throw them out of your mind. Just go back to in my case, go back to meditation and just refocus and tell myself, the universe is there for you. Things are happening for a reason. Just don't let it get to you.
And just to finish off, here's my recommendation. Stress. Think of stress like your boat. Because at the end of the day, it's going to happen. Something might happen, but at least you're on a boat. You're not drowning in the water, you're on a boat. Chronic stress is worrying that your boat's going to hit something, but the rocks are 500 miles away. So don't worry, because the rock's not here yet. And when it is here, you'll know what to do. You'll know how to turn the boat out of the way. And that's how you deal with real stress. Proper stress is in the moment stress. Chronic is horrible. It's destroying, and it's led to so much debt, it's incredible. Then stress on the level of worry, to overthink about stuff. That's where anxiety comes out, because you're worrying about all this stuff. The universe will be flowing. As long as you want love, you'll receive love.
Yep.
And that's where visualization is really important. Make a visionary board and make sure that there's love right at the center of it, because that's what it should be. Unless you like hate, and that's a whole different topic. But hopefully you don't. So, anything you want to end off?
Just trust that everything happens for a reason and the universe is there for you. There's nothing wrong in feeling
good about the universe.
Yeah, but there's also, what I was wanting to say is also, don't feel bad when things happen. Just continue showing up every day. You know, if you feel tired one day, take the day to rest for yourself and then hit it again tomorrow. But just don't give up, because again, the universe is there for you and not against you. If you keep running with the flow, like we said, you'll end up seeing the greatness that'll come out of everything.
But the major thing is remembering, is your environment loving?
That's one thing too, yeah.
Because when love is in a place, you're good.
Not just loving, but supporting.
Supporting. And that's where you really realize the difference between, is it you having issues loving yourself, or is it the environment you're in? I made this quote myself, and I'm going to quote it right now. A real plant cannot grow in fake soil. That's it.
Very well said, though.
Thank you.
That means everybody
Chris.
around you is fake. So
Exactly.
don't be fake. And
And a seed cannot grow.
it's funny because everything that I've been posting about lately also is just be genuine and trust your own instincts, your own intuitions, and come back to your own roots, because that's exactly who you are and who you're supposed to be. So be authentic. Forget about all the material aspects that you see in front of you. It means nothing. It's all illusions. Be loyal to yourself. Love yourself, and that's who you're supposed to be, because then you live out your best passions.
Exactly.
Continue being who you are, and love will just flow right through you without fear. We'll leave it
Have a
off
good
that.
one. We care.
We care. Have a good one, everyone.